The more you do, the more things will not happen the way you want. That's why it's important that who you are happens exactly 100% the way you want. This is the Travis Brown Podcast, Episode 2.
Someone new, how predictable. And who are you this time? I've been waiting to bathe in your sunlight.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to another episode. Hope everyone's having a great day wherever they are right now listening, or if you're viewing right now on YouTube, or if you're listening on the SoundCloud. Thank you. And before I get into that quote, I just want to take a second to thank everybody for all the super sweet and kind messages I've been getting over the past week. Everybody that's reached out over text or DM or all over. It means so much to me. And as of today, the YouTube page is at, we got 404 views, which is pretty crazy to me, and 33 subscribers. So thank you, each and every one of you who is going and watching these videos and listening to these podcasts and subscribing to the channel. And if you haven't already, please feel free to do that. It means a whole lot, and it's incredible. It's really fucking amazing, actually. So I was at the dollar store earlier, and I saw something that I have wanted for years. I mean, all the way back to, middle school years. And if you're watching and you've been wondering what is sitting in this cup here, it's a head massager. I picked this up for $1, and I'm glad I've waited all these years to buy it because, it was only $1. And I've been waiting all day to use this just for the podcast. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and do that because I've been waiting all day. So let's see what this is like. Again, I haven't done this yet. I was saving it. Okay. It's on top of the head. It's like, ooh. Yeah. How to describe this? Put it into words. It's like your wife's fingernails combing through your hair, except I can do it anytime I want. Don't even need her fingers anymore. I'm just kidding. I still need your fingers. And there's about, this feels so nice. There's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, there's like 13 claws in here, so that's more than 2 hands. That's like a hand with an extra pinky on each hand. That's really great. Wow, I'm glad I waited. Thank you, Dollar Tree. Yes, and so let's talk about this quote. That was a quote from Sadhguru. And if you don't know about Sadhguru, I highly recommend just type in YouTube anywhere, and you'll get tons and tons of videos pull up. I found out about Sadhguru probably 3 years ago, and have been meditating and doing the yoga ever since, and it is a fucking game changer. It's like night and day. There's times that I'm not consistent with it, and I can totally tell the difference. It's insane. In North Carolina, it's like here, North Carolina, about 4 hours away, there's an ashram, and they have a temple in there, and you go and you just sit in there, and it was, me and the wife went there before we got to Asheville, and we were only there for about an hour, and I think for like 2 weeks I was on a high from that place. Like, I felt like I had to go back. It was pretty incredible. But Sadhguru is a yogi, mystic, and the quote kind of stuck with me when I read it a few days back. I think it kind of has to do with what I was talking about last week about getting started. And yeah, I mean, the more you do, the more things will not happen the way you want. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I feel you, my brother. The more you get out there and the more you experience, the more you're going to fail and succeed. And that can destroy you if you let it. So what he's saying, that's why it's important that who you are is 100% the way you want, because nothing's ever going to be 100% the way you want around you. The people around you, the circumstances around you aren't ever going to be how you want. But if you, on the inside, if you are 100% the way you want, then no matter what situation you're in or what circumstance you're in, then you're always blissed out, and it doesn't really, nothing's really ever gonna throw you off. But it's getting to that point of where you can be there with 100% inner bliss, and I think that can only happen through the meditation and through the yoga. And I do some chanting too, and that really helps for me. So food for thought. Not really food. I don't know why people say food for thought. Something to think about and look up if you're ever interested about yoga or meditation or any of those things. Yeah, so that's meditation. And today I thought that I kind of wanted, after listening back to the podcast last week, kind of all over the place, and it will probably still be all over the place, but I feel like I really wanted to hit on the tiny house thing, that process for me, because I think it could help a lot of people out there who maybe are thinking about doing a tiny house, or have built one, or anyone who just wants to hear a good story. So the tiny house thing for me started probably 4 or 5 years ago. I was working with someone at a coffee shop, and she said, "Hey, Travis, you should get a tiny house." And I said, "What's that?" I already live in a pretty small studio apartment. And so she showed me some pictures, and I'm like, "You're absolutely right. I need to get one of these." So for 2 years, I made a plan in my head of what I wanted. And I did research, and I made a vision board, actually. And on my vision board was a picture of a tiny house. And the only way that I was going to be able to afford this was to work a second job. And because the option was available, temporarily move in to my mom's place. So I worked 2 jobs, and I saved up some money, and it came time to find a tiny house. So originally I wanted to buy a custom-built flatbed trailer and then build the frame on top of that. But after seeing how much that cost, I quickly realized I would have to work for at least another year or two until I got that. So a friend was mentioning Airstreams. And so I looked in the Airstream and said, wow, yeah, these are fucking rad. I want one of these. And then it turns out that an Airstream is just as expensive, even the crummy ones. And my budget wasn't huge. My budget was $5,000. So then I started looking at travel trailers. And I thought, well, travel trailer already has everything in there. And if I'm lucky, if I can find a good one that's not in too rough a condition, I think I can make it work. So I saved a search on Craigslist, and for about 3 months, every day, all day, checking Craigslist, seeing what there was, checked out a bunch of trailers that were junk or too much. And then one day I'm working and I get a notification, and the post said, travel trailer, $500. And it had pictures, and the thing was about 20 feet long, and it had a bathroom, and it had a shower, it had a kitchen. And so I called the guy and I said, you still got it? And he said, yeah, but you better hurry up because I have people calling me, telling me they're homeless and they need a place to sleep and want this trailer. Which, if you're homeless, I don't know how you can afford a $500 trailer. I think they were trying to get him to give it away. So this guy lived like 30 minutes away, so I had to leave work and I go see this trailer. So I get to the trailer, and it's an old trailer. It's like late 70s, and it's got the corrugated metal siding, and it's got about probably like 8-9 windows, and the inside was all, it had like green shag carpet, and I mean everything from just taking a look looked pretty great. It had a bunk bed. It had a table that folded down into a bed. It had the shower with the bathroom in it. And so I made the deal, and I couldn't take it then, so I had to come back a couple weeks later. And luckily the thing was still there, and he didn't take my money. And then began a year-long process of, first off, learning how to use any kind of tool, and you'll learn real quick what not to do, and then by the third or fourth time, you'll say, oh, that's how you drill a hole into that. And I had another good friend. And that's another thing. You need some good friends to help you out along the way in these kind of projects. Because I had a good friend who towed the trailer away from me, and then another good friend let me put it in his backyard for the whole year. And I paid him a small amount a month, and without him, that thing wouldn't have gotten built. So I went over there, I want to say, I mean, not every day, but almost every day, after work, before work, on the weekends, spending, 4 a.m, trying to get insulation in the walls, totally covered in itchy fiberglass insulation, which, by the way, avoid that if you can. The fiberglass is not good. So yeah, this process I thought was going to be done in like 3 months. I thought I could do it in 3 months, and it took a year. So I get it done, and then it comes time to leave, but I don't have any sort of vehicle to tow this thing. And I thought, well, I could rent a U-Haul, but that was going to be like $2,000 just to rent a U-Haul, plus gas. And at this point, I'm like tapped out on funds. Like I have enough, pretty much exactly enough gas to get to Asheville, and that's about it. So U-Haul was out. I had a truck. It was a Ford Ranger, but there's no way that would have worked. So I sold that. I took that money and I figured, well, I'll find something. I'll buy something off Craigslist. Maybe I'll get lucky again. And I'm looking for trucks. I find a truck. I think it was a Dodge. Big truck. Good price. I think it was like $1,500. I check it out. I drive it, test drive it, and it's great. It's everything I want. So I'm fucking pumped. I pay the guy the money. I drive off. I needed to get gas, so I go to the gas station. And literally on the way to the gas station, the truck starts overheating. And I don't mean a little bit. I mean like, oh shit, you have to turn the truck off overheating. So I text the guy. No, I call the guy. And I'm like, hey man, this truck just overheated like 2 minutes down the road. What's up? And I was super lucky because he said, come back, let's check it out. So I come back and we check it out. We're looking at it, we're trying to figure out what's wrong, and we can't figure it out. And he's like, well, I'm going to have to give you your money back. And I think that might have been one of the only people one of the few people who would have done that, because most people were like, oh, sorry, man, you're screwed. I have the money already, so see ya, you're out of luck. But this dude gave me the money back, and he texted me like later that week, like, hey, man, just checking in, just seeing if you found a truck to use. Turns out it was the thermostat. So that was cool. But I still needed a truck. And that wasn't cool. So then I realized, well, wait a minute. Why don't I just try to get my dream truck? Which was a Ford Bronco, the truck I've always wanted. I started looking for Broncos. And same thing. Every day, looking on Craigslist. And I was about to go to sleep. And I saw a black one for $2,500. And it looked amazing. It was everything I wanted. But in the post, it said the guy was out of town. And he wasn't going to be back for a couple of days. And I needed to be gone in a couple of days. So I call him, and he's like, yeah, I'm on the road back from Oregon. I'll be home probably tomorrow or 2 days, but call me, and you can come check it out. So I didn't have a car at this time. I actually had a bicycle because I had sold my truck, and so I needed to get around, so I bought a bike off Craigslist. Actually, Craigslist was a huge help in this whole thing. So I had a bike, and I took the bus for like 2 hours to go look at this truck. And it was this older guy, military guy, and he's running through the truck with me, and it's fucking great. And I test drive it, and it's like the best thing I've ever driven. And I'm like, I tell him what's going on, what I'm doing. I'm like, is there any way you'd take $1,500? Because that's all I had. And he's like, well, I was screwed over real bad when I was your age. And I told myself I'd never do that to anybody else. And you seem like a good guy, and I like what you're doing. So yeah, $1,500, you got a deal. And I could not believe that. I was so pumped. Gave him the money and drove off as fast as I could before he could change his mind. Okay, so now I'm leaving in like 3 days. And I'm gotta leave in 3 days, and I'm feeling all sorts of feelings. Like, the night before, I was like, should I even be doing this? Should I even leave? This is a pretty big thing, man. 2,000 miles is a long way. What if, and all the what ifs, you start thinking all the what ifs. What if this, what if that? My friends, I just met Corey, should I stay? Corey's my wife. I just met Corey. And I was like, no, fuck that. I've been grinding on this for a year straight. Actually more than that. So I left the next morning, and it was the most fucking terrifying 3 or 4 days I had ever experienced. Yeah, I don't. It was. When I got to Asheville, I thought I had died, and this was all like some alternate universe. And we're at 21 minutes, which means our time is up. But it also means that this conversation will be continued in part 2. So please, if you've enjoyed this and would like to hear exactly why this was the most insane 3 or 4 days of my life, please continue on to part 2.